So this is a little video about carbon investment portfolios. So once you've just determined, you've got your balance sheet set up, you've got your liabilities over here, now you need to think about what your actions are to start reducing your emissions and getting carbon out of the atmosphere. And you need to invest in that. So you need to start thinking about your carbon investment portfolio. So in terms of R1 and R2 actions, that's reducing emissions, you can do things like, for example, become vegetarian or eat less meat, travel less. Think about getting a solar panel on your roof or even moving country where you have a lower footprint. So there's all those sort of actions that you can do there to reduce your own personal emissions. R2 actions where you're trying to reduce emissions elsewhere. So you need to think, well, what am I going to invest in? And this is where we start talking about this carbon investment portfolio. What sort of projects will I invest my scarce resources to try and reduce emissions elsewhere? Now, on the site, we've talked about Project Drawdown. Project Drawdown looked at all of the things that we could do to reduce emissions. So there's a great list there, the information's there on the site. One of the things, for example, that I really like doing is investing in girls' education, because as it shows in Project Drawdown, they can have a massive long-term impact on reducing emissions because the girls get to go to school, they go to work, they have less babies because they're working and they've got their own income, they can control their own lives. There's a whole raft of ways that investing in girls' education can help reduce future emissions. So there's ways to do that. We describe those on the site, and we also describe that in our My Carbon Zero community, which I'll talk about in a second. So that's R2 actions. There's other things you can do too. You can invest in a whole range of activities like forest conservation, tree planting, that helps reduce emissions elsewhere. But some of those activities also help take carbon out of the atmosphere, what we call R3 actions, removing carbon from the atmosphere. And so you need in your carbon investment portfolio a series of actions, R3 actions, that will take carbon out of the atmosphere. Now, the thing about a carbon investment portfolio is that your return on investment is generally not measured by financial return. It's measured by carbon removed from the atmosphere that balances with your liabilities over here, your carbon footprint since your birth, or if you're a business, since the inception of your business. Okay, so, but just like our financial investment portfolio, you've got to look at risk, short-term, long-term, short-term, medium and long-term risk. Because, for example, tree planting can be great, it feels really good to plant some trees, but what if the trees die? Then your efforts come to nothing. And so choosing the right partner as an organisation that's going to plant trees on your behalf is really critical, because there's been millions of trees planted over the last years, but not too many of them survive more than a year. So we need to find partners that are doing good things there. There's also projects like the Husk project that we have here on the site, where they invest in taking rice husk and turning it into biochar, putting it back into the soil. That's very short term, high impact. So they're great projects to do. The tree planting, and we've got our partner here, Trillion Trees, it's more long term. But with a good partner like Trillion Trees, they're looking after those trees. They're making sure the trees survive. Okay, so the carbon investment portfolio is that idea where you list all of your actions that you're taking, R1, R2, and R3. You look at short, medium, long-term actions, and you start putting all those numbers together to balance your liabilities over here. Okay, so you've got your carbon balance sheet, and within that, you've got your carbon investment portfolio. That's where you're investing to take action, which we need to do now. Now, as I said, for the carbon balance sheet, we've got information as part of our My Carbon Zero community for individuals and for businesses. If you wanted to join that, there's buttons below where you can click and link, where you'll get access to that guidance and also the support that we can bring you to help you on your own My Carbon Zero journey. So I hope that's useful. Thanks very much.